Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org. I'm John DeSando.
I was waiting for you. And I'm Johnny DiLoretto. And this is Cinema Classics. Or what would you say?
No, I think you're right. Let's say one for it's movie time, and I'll see what I...
Yeah, let's just do both.
Okay.
And then you just cut them.
Yeah, right. Well, let's do the second one now. I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
And this is It's Movie Time.
Happy to be back.
All right. Of course, they don't have a different... Let me just do that once, just for perfection's sake.
Why don't you just put them both up there?
Well, I thought so, but I wasn't quite sure I could do that. I wasn't quite sure. So let's do one for this.
We could just say it's doubling as...
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
And this is It's Movie Time.
Happy to be back. We're also doubling up. It's also Cinema Classics. Look at that. I mean, look, this place is falling apart. What's going on?
Our set design. Yeah.
Jeez.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
All right.
It's a big one.
Wow. And who would have thought? Because guys like film critics, and who are they?
Yeah.
It said Batman versus Superman. Thumbs down.
That was a little premature, I think, and a little and informed, I think, by some I don't know why there's some lingering backlash against DC's attempts to mount their own sort of Marvel Avengers franchise. This would be the Justice League. You know, the Marvel universe, which started with the Iron Man movie. With Robert Downey Jr., generated a lot of goodwill, I think, mainly because it was just so surprisingly good, that first movie. Leading up to their big team movie, The Avengers, which was also, beyond everyone's wildest expectations, supremely entertaining and smartly done. On the other hand, Christopher Nolan's Batman movies came to a close, and Warner Brothers and DC decided to relaunch Superman and, you know, do their own team stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just received poorly from the start. Yes, Zack Snyder is not a great director.
Yeah, and he's not Christopher Nolan.
He's not Christopher Nolan. And Christopher Nolan's marks on the movie were few and far between. So that's where we are. And I think people are they have this bad taste in their mouth because it's Zack Snyder. And I do too. I'm not a fan of it. I think he mishandles the basic human stuff. He misses it's there, you can see it, but he just doesn't know how to grasp it. I don't know if the guy has actually experienced a real emotion in his life.
Well, one of my reactions is that I find it almost I find the DC version, that will be the one we're talking about today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Batman versus Superman, the Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
I find it humorless. And I know what you're going to say immediately. Well, Jesse Eisenberg is playing Lex Luthor. And then I say to you, think about Gene Hackman.
Why do you even need me? You're just going to say what I'm going to say?
Well, we've already used up half the show with your introduction.
Yeah, sorry. You cut that one out.
So, what do you think? Am I way off here? Is that wrong of me to ask that we have this irony?
I don't know. I like it. Why did they all need to be the same? I mean, Marvel has all that stuff. You know, it's all got humor in it, and why not have a serious version? There's some humor in here. There's a couple of toss-away lines. Jesse Eisenberg actually playing a very sort of typical crazy villain. He is not necessarily a very amusing presence here. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, that was exactly my point. Is that he was pushing very hard to make it amusing,
Yeah.
and he was just coming off as a kind of rabid Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what the answer is. I like to take my heroes seriously, occasionally, with a dollop of humor. Yes, I mean that's why we like the Daniel Craig James Bond films, right? They're definitely not Roger Moore. They're definitely a little darker than the Connery movies. But I like that.
Okay.
I think because I'm a grown man, who has grown over this core 14-year-old inside of me that has not changed, that wants to see these things. I do miss the deft depiction of Superman in those first two Christopher Reeve films.
Yeah.
They had real, genuine emotion. They did have comedy. They were just epic. They were great, and they were a lot of fun. Like you pointed out, Gene Hackman was a fun Lex Luthor, but also you felt, as comical as it could be and as light as it was,
Yes.
that there were real consequences. And Christopher Reeve grounded that character in a world that we could recognize.
And I so much agree, and I ask then that we consider the fact of how important a villain is in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just point to Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
Heath Ledger,
Right.
and the ones that we can remember who brought real form to that.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it wasn't. And your point about Christopher Reeve couldn't be better, because I'm very critical of Henry Cavill as Superman. I
Are
have
you really?
been through it. Yeah, I just don't see it.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, and I couldn't describe to you why. I'm just not moved by his
Interesting.
presence.
Okay.
I might be more moved by Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Well, let's really quickly get that out of the way. Ben Affleck acquits himself really nicely as Batman. I thought he was better than fine. I mean, he's actually, I think in some ways it connects the character up to Bruce Wayne a little more tightly. That, you can see, I don't know, which in some ways is an atypical representation of Batman. Batman is supposed to be a dualistic figure who presents one face to the world as Bruce Wayne and then indulges his darker side, his crazy side as Batman. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting about Henry Cavill. I like him. I like the way he looks. I think he's not given enough to work with, and I think that's ultimately, again, Zack Snyder's fault, because Superman is the most benevolent and human of superheroes. I was having this conversation with my boys the other day. What makes Batman interesting is Batman is motivated by suffering. His parents were murdered, and he has this outsized, crazy dedication and devotion to bettering himself and bringing villains to justice. But Superman doesn't have to do any of it.
No, and I'll tell you, another reservation I have about this film and the development of these superheroes is I just don't buy the romance between Superman and Lois Lane to the point of saying that they love each other.
In this iteration.
In this iteration, yes.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I know it was moving that way, but it is so much better if you don't say it.
Right. Well, what they're doing is they're relying on the audience knowing that Superman loves Lois Lane.
Yes.
And you just accepting it rather than showing us that they love each other.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right. That's kind of empty. When he swoops down to save her, it doesn't have that same.
Which time?
Yeah.
One of the
three.
I mean, really.
Yeah, I know.
We could tell Snyder one is fine.
Yeah, right. Everybody knows Superman finds Lois and saves her.
He saves her in the most absurd way. And then another one that's absurd, when he saves the little girl in some foreign country.
Yeah, why do you see? I like that.
And I understand why they do it. But what about the million other little girls who are in trouble?
Right. Well, he just happened to catch that one on the news.
I know that. I know it.
I mean, see, that's in part. They are headed somewhere really fascinating with that character. It is interesting to think, well, geez, if he can do everything, if he can hear everything, what is the? They've only been able to, even in the Bryan Singer sort of reboot remake a few years back, they tap into this where he hovers above the planet and he listens to everything and he goes where he can and saves who he can. I think that's ultimately a mistake because you're making Superman too powerful. And again, you're moving it way far away from the Christopher Reeve iteration. That version of Superman is human. He can't do everything. He cannot do everything. He struggles to accomplish certain feats that in some of the new movies he just does them, you know. Superman has to struggle. He has to be rooted in a humanity or we can't relate to him. That's where they're getting with some of this stuff. Is he a god? Is he an alien? You know, which is interesting, but ultimately you're doing this character a disservice.
Well, it's a nice juxtaposition of Batman, who is really more human,
Yeah.
and against Superman, who is really more godlike.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they attempt, in some points, to make that contrast, although never fulfilling it because they're too interested in blowing everything up they possibly can.
Now, see, I didn't think it was that bombastic a
Oh
film.
my gosh, how about the fight?
At the end, yeah, it builds to that one fight, but there's not a lot of craziness going on. I thought Zack Snyder was actually trying to tell an interesting story. One thing I don't like, and this is where we are now with superheroes. As a child, the concept of Batman fighting Superman was anathema to me. It was unimaginable.
No, it was. I mean, who would have ever thought?
They would have never fought.
Right.
Because they are essentially good people. That's why we aspire to their mythology. The fact that we're at this point where they would fight each other and that you would see one of your childhood heroes beating the living crap out of the other one to the point that he's almost dead, almost like crucifying him in some ways, it's kind of stomach turning for me. Again, I'm speaking from the 12-year-old perspective inside of me. I don't like it.
Well, for me, the film begins to work when the two of them work together.
Right.
That's really good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That all should have happened in the beginning of Act 2.
Yes.
And then they should have come to a mutual respect and began fighting this stuff together. Then it would make sense that it's the dawn of justice.
There was a great moment for me which exemplified what I wanted so much from the film. Just their little toss-off line about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I thought she was with you.
Right. Yeah, no, that's...
I love that.
They have another great line when Batman swoops in to save Diane Lane, who is Superman's mom.
Right.
And he says, "I'm a friend of your son's." And she goes, "I figured."
Yeah, right. The cape and all.
Yeah, they did, right. I know, that was a great line.
Yes, that is great. That's excellent.
There are these moments of humor. Yeah, a few more like that.
Oh, yeah.
You could keep it dark, but, you know.
But look at, who are we to criticize? Because I think fanboys, and not even fanboys and girls, but the general population is fascinated by this heroic filming.
Yeah.
And have gone to it regardless of what critics say.
Right,
Isn't it
well,
powerful?
It is, but I think they're going so they can bitch about it. I do. I think there's this scratch, or this itch they need to scratch, because they want to pick it apart in a way that they won't do with the Marvel films.
Well,
yeah.
Would you say a little bit something about Films Cool?
Films Cool, yes. In May,
Yes.
you and I,
Yeah.
are going to offer a class at the Gateway Film Center. We're going to offer a 2-hour workshop on superhero films, the mythology, the magic.
Now that is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I will be the real sous chef on that one, because you could easily go for days talking about superheroes.
Well, yeah, we'll need you there to tamp me down.
I know, right? But it's going to be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real simple, John. You just go to gatewayfilmcenter.org, click on education, and you'll find our class under there, and you can enroll.
Watch us fly in.
Swoop in to save the day.